You know, there's a lot out there about the Tomahawk Chop and how it may be gone. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred recently said to the Washington Post that the Braves have taken steps to remove the Tomahawk Chop. Sources tell us the commissioner misspoke, and he was referring to the removal of Chief Noc-A-Homa. Noc-A-Homa has not been around since 1986. The chop started in 1991 in honor of Deion Sanders, who went to Florida State. Chop on is still the Braves' slogan. They still are selling tomahawks and shirts demonstrating how to do it. Meanwhile, Commissioner Rob Manfred has been outspoken about increasing sensitivity toward Native Americans. He recently worked with the Cleveland Indians to remove Chief Wahoo from their uniforms. The Braves have not used the screaming American Indian logo since 1986, yet Major League Baseball and the team is still profiting from it, selling shirts and merchandise with the logo on their website. The team says they're phasing out the screaming Native American. So don't be surprised if this issue continues to snowball. The question is how long until the chop stops. Would anybody be surprised if at some point the team name changes in our lifetime? We'll see. They're further along these base paths in Cleveland. Atlanta probably isn't too far behind. But that is it for sports, and certainly that will give you some fodder for your dinner time discussion tonight.